On July 8, 1996, 34-year-old Egbert Remkes, his 11-year-old son Georg, Egbert's girlfriend, 28-year-old Cornelia Meyer, and her 4-year-old son Max rented a 1996 Plymouth Voyager van from Dollar Rent-A-Car in Los Angeles. It was a car very similar to this, and it was due back on July 26th. After visiting several locations in California, they went to Las Vegas and spent the night there of July 21st. On July 22nd, they headed to Furnace Creek in Death Valley, California, which is right here. And they went to the Furnace Creek Visitor Center right here. Go down to Street View. While they were at the Furnace Creek Visitor Center, they bought 2 booklets titled Death Valley National Monument Museum Text in the German language. Temperatures on this day, July 22nd, 1996, were recorded at 124 degrees Fahrenheit here at Furnace Creek. After leaving Furnace Creek, they drove south down this road, Badwater Road, and then made a right turn onto West Side Road right here. This is a dirt road. They went down West Side Road until they got to Hanapaw Canyon Road right here, and they turned right and went up Hanapaw Canyon. And somewhere along this road, somewhere up in this canyon, they spent the night up there. It is believed that they drove out the next morning from Hanapaw Canyon and continued south on West Side Road right through here. And when they got to this spot right here, they went from West Side Road, made a right-hand turn, and headed up Warm Springs Road. So here I am at the intersection where they made a right turn. They came down from here, made a right turn, and headed up that way in their van. They traveled up this road, you can see here. And they stopped here at Warm Springs Camp and signed the register. It said, quote, "We are going over the pass," and it was signed Connie, Egbert, Georg, Max. The date was July 23rd, 1996. It is believed they were most likely referring to Mangle Pass. So they made it to here, the Warm Springs Camp, and they signed the register right in here. They continued up Warm Springs Road, which becomes extremely rugged after leaving Warm Springs Camp. Big rocks here. By the way, a little history lesson. This is the same road that Charles Manson drove up in a school bus to get his bus to Barker Ranch. That's kind of at the end of this road. They continued on in the van up Warm Springs Canyon, down through here through the Butte Valley, and they made it to here, the Geologist Cabin, which you can see right here. While they were there, they took the American flag as a souvenir, and then they headed toward Mangle Pass, which means they came back down and headed this way, in this direction, Coyote Canyon Road, and Mangle Pass becomes impassable. You have to have a really advanced four-wheel drive and excellent skills to be able to drive through that. Their 1996 Plymouth Voyager van could never make it through that. When they realized they could not navigate Mangle Pass in the van, they turned around and headed back. Instead of heading back down the rugged road they came in on, they headed east on this road right here. You can see a very faint road here. So here I am heading east on that dirt road south of the Geologist Cabin, and it's actually a very smooth and inviting road, so I could see where they would be taken in by this in their van and not wanting to go back out the way they came in because it was so rugged. Down through here, had to come up over this little hill. There's a very steep drop right here, and they headed down the road that was here through Anvil Canyon. Now it is believed they headed down this road into Anvil Canyon because they probably had a map indicating the Anvil Canyon Road meets up with Warm Springs Road way down here, where they drove in on. So here I am at the location that if the road that they were on came all the way through, it would have come down this dry riverbed and met up with the road that they went up there on, and they could have made a right turn and headed back that way, which is the way they came up. So it is believed that they believed they could follow Anvil Canyon Road and eventually get down through here and back onto the road they came out on, turn right, and head back to Badwater Road. Back in 1996, there was still somewhat of a road there, but in 1994, the Desert Protection Act made it illegal to drive vehicles in Anvil Canyon. However, they never made it that far. From the mouth of Anvil Canyon here, they made it to this location right here. The van stopped right in here because they ended up getting 3 flats and the wheels were buried in the sand up to the axles. The left front and 2 rear tires were flat. 3 months later, on October 21st, 1996, a Death Valley National Park ranger was on board a military helicopter searching for remote drug manufacturing labs. At 11 a.m., they spotted the van. They landed nearby and realized the van was completely out of place for its surroundings. They ran the license plate, and it was reported stolen on September 10th, 1996 by Dollar Rent-A-Car. An Interpol alert was found on the 4 Germans and they never returned home. When the van was opened, inside they found several empty water and juice containers, the American flag that had been taken from the Geologist Cabin as a souvenir, luggage and clothing, 1 new Coleman sleeping bag in a box and 1 empty Coleman sleeping bag box, a tent, a pipe with tobacco, a leather card carrier belonging to Egbert with Swiss bank cards and a Citicorp credit card, a card from the San Clemente, California Seahorse Resort, several kids' toys, an unused compact spare tire and jack, 1 empty bourbon bottle and 1 3/4 full empty bourbon bottle, 2 Bud Ice unopened beer bottles, and a 3rd one empty. They found several exposed rolls of 35mm film with a Praktica 35mm camera. One of the pictures developed from the camera showed a location familiar to one of the searchers. It was facing east from an area known as Hanapaw Canyon, and this is how they know that the 4 Germans went up Hanapaw Canyon. Now, the reason that I know this is the exact location where the van was found is because the photo that was taken of the van when it was found, this photo right here, has some important clues in it. Number 1, the distance the back of the van is to this embankment. Number 2, this rock right here is like a fingerprint. Number 3, the rocks off of the right front tire in this location. And number 4, this bush over here off of the left front tire, kind of a U-shaped bush, were important clues. So I took this photo and I compared it to this photo right here that was taken by the man who eventually found the 4 Germans' remains. And once again, you can see he put flags around what he thought would be the perimeter of the van. You can see the distance from the back of the van to the embankment. Importantly, you can see that 1 rock that I saw right here I used as a fingerprint. You can see the rocks off to the right front of where the van was. And over here at the left front tire, you could see that U-shaped bush that was next to the left front tire right here. In addition to all of that, this picture was wider, so I was able to identify this split-looking rock up here at the top of the picture with rocks underneath it and the identifier rock right here. So with all of that in mind, I went to Google Earth. And I was looking for a place where the dirt road passed close to an embankment that had rocks. There's a place here, but the angle is wrong and it's actually too close. The coloring is wrong and the rocks don't look right. As I came further down, I noticed a little road coming off to the south here and then heading up that way. And I was able to identify the split rock right here with the rocks below it, and the identifier rock right here casting a shadow. In addition to that, I could see the rocks right here that were off to the right front of the van, and most importantly, there's the U-shaped bush that you can see sitting right here underneath the hand. That's the U-shaped bush that was right next to the left front tire. So that means the van was right here in this exact spot that I have marked. So here I am at the location where the van was found. You can see the rock that I used to identify it right there in the original black and white photo. The color photo that was taken by the guy who found them, I was able to identify this rock formation and these rock formations. And the U-shaped bush that was at the left front corner, next to the left front wheel, used to be right here. So that left front wheel was approximately here. And those are the rocks that you see in the background. So the van was right in here. There's a stack of rocks somebody put here. The U-shaped bush was right there. Front of the van was here. Back of the van was pointing that way. And once again, there's the rock I used to identify it. And the rocks in the color photo that I used to identify it right there. So this is the exact location. So here I am above the rock that I used to identify it. The van was parked right in here, which means they came from that direction up there, down this way, and ended up getting stuck here, and they were headed in that direction down that way. 2 days after discovering the van, several search and rescue teams began to search on October 23rd. They searched down Anvil Canyon, and it was right about in here that they found a beer bottle by a bush. This was the only photo I was able to find of the beer bottle next to the bush. You can see right here, this black arrow is pointing at the beer bottle sitting right here and the bush behind it. They said this bush was about 1.6 to 1.7 miles down Anvil Canyon from the van's location. That puts it approximately between here and here. Somewhere in this location is the spot where they found the beer bottle next to the bush. As a result of that, they searched all the way down Anvil Canyon to where the road was where the Germans drove in on, right here. They also searched further. They went across Warm Springs Road, or down Warm Springs Road. They went across West Side Road. They went east of West Side, and they even crossed over Bad Water Road and looked in this area. They went north up in this direction. They searched the hills north of Anvil Canyon all the way up to Warm Springs through here. They went over these hills heading north and then west and searched Butte Valley. They searched on top of Striped Butte here, and they searched all the way over to Warm Springs Canyon and all the way around, and they found nothing. They also searched Coyote Canyon and Mangle Pass through here to where the Barker Ranch is, the famous place of where Charles Manson and his people used to hang out. They went down through Goler Wash, didn't find anything, and from Goler Wash they headed north all the way up to Ballarat, right up here, and didn't find any traces of them. They basically searched everywhere they believed a lost group would logically go to. On October 26, they searched south of where the beer bottle was found. Down in this area, they took surveillance photos using 2 helicopters, but that mission was hampered by strong winds. And after 4 days, with nothing more being found other than the beer bottle, the search was called off with no hope of finding them alive. 13 years later, a search and rescue guy became obsessed with the case. Through his connections, he gathered all the information he could about the 1996 search and decided to focus on an area to the south that was not searched very well. He had a hunch the Germans may have had an outdated map showing them a road down Anvil Canyon and the Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake to the south. He believed the Germans may have thought they would find a perimeter fence with security guards that could help them. China Lake perimeters start about here, and if you look down right here, you can see a mock airport where they use old airplanes for target practice. If you zoom in, you can see an old jet here that's shot up. There's another one up here, and a few more. There's one up here, shot up. One right here. Couple more down here. One here. So there's another one right here. And another one here. So this search and rescue guy decided to focus his search in the area to the south of where the beer bottle was found. He ended up coming down through here, and on November 12th, 2009, him and a friend found the remains. They were found Right here, in front of this little cliff here, this little ridge, they were found scattered in this area right in here. And there were some more found, some pieces up top back here and off to the side over here, scattered. They also found this wine bottle right here in the vicinity. The location of this wine bottle is actually right here on Google Earth. Right here in front of this bush that you see right here. So there was a photo taken of the wine bottle, and what you see today, 13 years later, doesn't look exactly like what was in the photo, but you can still see this bush, the one behind it, this plant. In the photo, it looks like these rocks are a solid piece. And you can also see a piece of this bush, and the wine bottle was lying right here. And I wasn't sure, but when I looked at the photo, you could see another rock in the background. So as I walked up and looked, the one that identifies it completely for me is this rock right here. You can see in the background in the photo, which means the wine bottle was resting right here where my foot is, right here. And that's just below the little cliff here. And right about where Cornelia's remains were found, which were right in here. They also found a shoe, and you can see that shoe right here. And the description of the location of the shoe is that it was north and west, about 75 yards from where the remains were found, next to a dry stream bed. So I looked at the photo, and there were several clues that I saw. The first three were the three big rocks. You see a big rock here, a big rock here, and a big rock back here. The other clue was there's a bend in this dry stream bed that you can see right here. So back here at Google Earth, I decided to look for something that was north and west, about 75 yards away. So I started looking along the stream, and I was looking for a bend in the stream, and the only one I saw was this one here that you can see. So I started looking in this area, and if you look close, you can see the three rocks that I used to identify 1, 2, and 3. So the location of the shoe was right here. So here I am at the location where the shoe was found, because you can identify it with these three rocks from where the photo was taken. And actually the actual shoe was lying between this rock and that white rock there, right in here. And I'll get closer. So the shoe was right here, right in here, in this exact spot. And you can identify it with this rock here and this rock here. It's amazing to me that these two rocks are still here in the exact position 13 years after the photo was taken. Here's a little wider angle of the area of the three rocks where the shoe was. What it looks like today. And this is uphill from the location where their remains were found, which highly suggests that it was scavenger activity that brought that shoe up here. And I found out later that Cornelia's wallet was found right about here underneath this bush. And this was an image taken of the wallet when it was found. And I'm fairly sure that it was in the location that I showed you, right here underneath this bush. Now it turned out that Cornelia's remains were found scattered in this area. Egbert's remains were found some up at the top, down the back, and off to the side over here, which highly suggests scavenger activity after they passed away. So here I am at the location up on the hill looking down where their remains were found. Cornelia's remains were found right in here. The wine bottle was found right here. And the shoe was found back up in here. This is what it looks like today, 13 years after they were discovered. And over here to the left, to my left, in this area, right along through here, somewhere in here is where Egbert's remains were found. And some of the search and rescue guys did find kids' shoes, but the best guess I could come up with, but the information that I found basically said that those shoes were probably found about a half-mile away out in this direction, which would have placed it somewhere out here, which once again highly suggests scavenger activity. So there you have it. The route that they took, the location of where the van was, the approximate location of where the beer bottle was by the bush, and the location of where their remains were found 13 years after they disappeared. Right here on the Forrest Haggerty channel.